Welcome to Today in Prophecy Daily News. With the Bible as perspective, friends, so much to talk about. Trump ends U.S. sanctions on Syria to boost economic integration. Iranian hackers threaten to leak 100 gigabytes of stolen Trump team emails. Check this out. Tim Waltz is back in the news. He says China has the moral authority to be the arbiter of peace in the Mideast. I say you've got to be kidding me, but let's start here. Federal task force finds Harvard, of all things, finds Harvard guilty of anti-Jewish bias in violation of civil rights law. Gee, I'm so surprised that Harvard has been found guilty in this. What a shocker that is for all of us, isn't it? Failure to institute adequate changes immediately, the federal body said, will continue to affect Harvard's relationship with the federal government. The Trump administration told Harvard University on Monday that it finished its investigation under Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act and found the Cambridge, Massachusetts Ivy League school violated civil rights law in its mistreatment of Jewish and Israeli students on campus. I look at this and it's amazing that it even had to go to court, but of course it did. I mean, it's so obvious what was going on and what has been going on at many schools. Harvard is not the only school that is guilty, but just terrible. The anti-Semitism that is continuing to increase across most of the Western world. Watching this develop, but at least we have a little bit of good news where Harvard has been challenged and confronted with this. In fact, it's Alan Dershowitz, the great law professor out of Harvard, the Jewish law professor, that has had to take some issues with this regarding Harvard and what they've done to Jewish students and Israel. And the Israel hatred still continues even to this day, where you still have people protesting Israel in light of the war with Iran, the 12-day war, and you have all these things regarding Iran. You're thinking, you got to be kidding me. Iran is a good country. Their regime is good. Listen, there's many people in Iran. The majority of people in Iran want nothing to do with their Iranian government. They know they're evil. They know they're oppressors. Nevertheless, here in the Western world, what do we have at college campuses? The praising of Hamas, praising of the Iranian regime, these torturers, these ones who are the number one spreaders of terrorism throughout the world. But at least we have some good news that's coming out of that regarding Harvard. Moving on from there, Trump ends sanctions on Syria to boost economic integration. President Donald Trump has formally dismantled the U.S. sanctions against Syria in hope of integrating the war-torn country into the global economy. Friends, if you want a really good perspective on what's going on with Syria, what's going on with Israel and Trump and the different peace plans and even this and the Abraham Accords, I would encourage you, watch the podcast that I had today with David Tal. It was excellent, very informative, hearing things that you just do not hear in the news and what is going on between Israel and Syria. Incredible things are taking place right now. I would say go check out the podcast. You're going to love it. And again, you'll find out things that you just don't hear anywhere else. Again, that was today on my podcast with David Tal just a few hours ago. Moving on from there, Waltz. Remember Tim Waltz? This is the guy that just won't go away. Tampon Tim. Waltz slammed for suggesting, get this, China may have the moral authority to be the arbiter of peace in the Middle East. This is one of those, you got to be kidding me. This should be part of you can't make this up. But this is what Tim Waltz says. Since the governor's comments earlier this month, foreign policy experts have lambasted his appraisal of China's moral authority. Waltz's ties to China were also discussed in a recent interview between Tucker Carlson and Alpha News reporter Liz Collin. Earlier this month, Minnesota Governor Tim Waltz participated in a seminar with a progressive political think tank where he suggested that China was better positioned to solve a war between Israel and Iran than the United States. Serving as a guest on an interview series for the Center of American Progress, Waltz spoke about a number of issues surrounding how the Democratic Party and progressives can find a path forward following their loss in the 2024 election. I'm thinking with this kind of insane thinking, a path forward, that's just totally nuts. China, the arbiter of peace, it also shows us just how out of touch Tim Waltz really is. I mean, you start looking at the United States of America. You look at different governors. In California, here we have Governor Newsom, Tim Waltz over there in Minnesota. And you start going across the board and in the United States, and you're thinking, what on earth, what planet are these guys from? Then you look at the guy that's a mayoral candidate in New York City, and you wonder what in the world is going on. I'll tell you this much. The enemy seeks to kill and steal and destroy. Those were the words of Jesus himself. He has come to give life and give it abundantly. But when you go against the things of God and the order that God has created things and the direction that things should go, and you start having this kind of insane kind of conversation going on, all you can do is you start to look at it and go, okay, this is what happens when you leave God's order. And you go this direction with this type of thing and lawlessness abounding and creating worse and worse things and thinking China's the arbiter of truth. My mind can't help but going somewhere like Romans chapter 1, where 3 different times in Romans chapter 1, God talks about a culture or a people or a society that goes to the place of giving themselves over to homosexuality. That's just one of the things that are listed there in Romans chapter 1. And then it goes on to list all of the different characteristics of the depravity of man. And 3 times God says, I will give them over. I will give them over. The 3rd time, I will give them over to a reprobate or a debased mind. Literally, that means I'll give them over to a mind, not just to continue in the evil paths of perversions and everything else that's wicked, but they will get to the point when they're given over to a reprobate mind where they will make a decision to their own worst interest. It won't just, they're so bent on harming other people by their decisions, they're willing to take themselves down without even recognizing. They'll be totally fooled in their hatred and in their pride with a reprobate mind to make decisions that are wicked to take out somebody else that will actually only harm themselves, but they cannot see it. It's like we see some of these protests and people are saying how bad the United States of America is, so we need a mayor like the one running right now in New York City. That's going to make everything better. And this is what people think. This is a reprobate mind. They're going to love it until they actually get that person in power and realize the great country that the United States of America once was, the country that they sought out to destroy. Tim Waltz falls right into that category. That's the same guy that wanted to put tampons in the boys' restrooms in schools. Just insane. Some of these people are definitely given over to a reprobate mind. Moving on from there, Newsweek reports Iran threatens to release 100 gigabytes of Trump aides' emails. Continues and says an Iran-linked hacking group has threatened to release a batch of emails it said it has stolen from President Trump's longtime aides, including advisor Roger Stone and White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. Reuters reported Monday that a cyber attack group that hacked the president's campaign in 2024 claimed it had roughly 100 gigabytes of emails that it could leak. The hackers, operating under the pseudonym Robert, did not provide information about the content of the emails or when they plan to release them, according to the news agency. The group previously released some emails in the lead up to the U.S. presidential election last year. We'll keep an eye on this and see how things develop there. But moving on from there to the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal reports Amazon is on the cusp of using more robots than humans in its warehouses. The e-commerce giant now counts more than 1 million of the machines at its facilities. Folks, we can see the direction that everything is going. We keep hearing about AI, we keep hearing about robots and the technology and how things are just going to continue to advance. We hear about the loss of white-collar jobs, but with this, listen, if you look at this with what Amazon is saying and you start to look at plants that have built cars for years, they have used, machines have been used to put motors into cars, put doors on cars, put the wheels on cars and so forth. As cars have been built, and what we are watching is a much more advanced machinery. Don't be too alarmed by what we see. We know that the system is coming where it's just a matter of time where there will be digital currency. Everybody's going to be tracked, and if you're worried about that, don't worry. You're already in a database. Everybody is already in a database. They already have facial recognition. I hear people getting really worked up about it. It's already here, but here's the good news. I don't have to worry about being here for the time of the mark of the beast. The trumpet's going to sound, and we are going to be going home if you know the Lord Jesus Christ. God bless you guys. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.